The goal of electronics recycling is to extract copper, gold, silver, palladium, and platinum. It's all in here. There's a few ways that you can do it, but in all cases, the actual substrate itself, right, the PCB, it's made of epoxy and fiberglass. And when all of this is recycled, it's left over, landfilled, never to be used again. But what if we could just remove the substrate before we try and extract the precious metals? If this substrate could be dissolved in water, we would be left with separated, recoverable materials. A new PCB substrate can do just that, and is not hard to design in. To prove that, I'm going to design a dissolvable PCB on Jiva Materials Soluboard. I'm going to visit the factory where it's made, show the assembly process, I'm going to test the PCB that I get to check if it works, and lastly, dissolve it in water. To dissolve a PCB, we need a PCB. And since no one is offering, I've got to make one myself. Here is a schematic that I've made. It's a simple LED ring chaser. Something quick and easy to lay out just to test the substrate. Nowadays, every PCB that we design is 2 layers or 4 layers or more, but this time I'm going to design using only a single copper layer, and that's not the restriction, right? I'm just doing that because it looks good on camera. Jiva already supports 2 layers, and I believe that 4 layers is already on their roadmap, so don't worry if you want to try this out yourself. In the theme of eco-friendly design, I'm going to be using a plugin that I love to round the tracks. This is not necessary in the slightest, but you'd be silly to tell me it doesn't look cool. Next up will come the silk screen, where I had the idea to remove the green solder mask to expose the substrate on the front side. Wait for the PCB reveal. It is going to look awesome when I look at it under a microscope. You'll see all the fibers, it'll be sick. I am no artist, but I love to add doodles, just like the silicon designers, for those who eventually might inspect my designs. It's a great day because the PCBs have arrived and they look really different to what I'm used to, and they might look like that to you as well. I think it'd be a good look if we had a little look under the microscope. This is a hole that I designed in it before so that we could actually go ahead and see the layers that make up this substrate. So here you can see there are interwoven strands of jute. What's binding this all together is a water-soluble polyvinyl alcohol resin, which is non-toxic. I think it's good if we compare this to a piece of FR4, which I've been kindly donated. It looks very similar in nature, doesn't it? I mean, you've still got the interwoven sort of fibers around something, but this is fiberglass. And what's binding it all together is resin, toxic resin. Can't be broken down resin. This, water-soluble, biodegradable. The main objective of this substrate is to reduce the carbon impact from manufacturing PCB substrates. To produce Soluboard, Jiva has recorded a 68% reduction in carbon output when compared to FR4. Interesting. Jiva Materials invited me to visit their factory to see how soluble substrate is made. So naturally, the film crew and I, we jumped in the car and we drove to Waterlooville, where they're based. Bit of a story. Jiva originally started as a university project which was led by the founder. But after securing significant investment, Soluboard was moved out of a lab and into an industrial facility in the UK. And that's turned it from a research project into the full-scale manufacturing operation that you see today. Whilst I was there, they taught me about their production processes. The first step in making Soluboard is to combine a biodegradable, water-soluble polyvinyl alcohol resin called Solventa with a phosphorus-based, non-brominated, non-toxic flame retardant. This mixture is fed through a hopper into a twin screw blender, where the 2 compounds are melted together under high temperature and pressure. The melted polymer and flame retardant blend is pulled into long spaghetti-like strings, where they are cooled by fans as they travel along a conveyor belt. The cooled, hardened strings are fed into a strand pelletizer, which creates uniformly sized pellets. The pellets are fed through a polymer grinder to reduce them to a fine powder, and this process is very soothing. It is time to make some pre-preg, which are the thin layers which form the basis of a larger substrate. Sheets of non-stick release paper are fed through a powder dispensing machine, which spreads a thin layer of polymer and flame retardant powder over this non-stick paper. An 18 by 12 inch piece of interwoven flax fiber is placed over that scattered powder and is passed through the powder dispensing machine once again to coat the top side. Now you have powder on either side of the flax. The flax acts as a textile reinforcement. As well as jute, Jiva also uses lyocell, a recent development which closely resembles the makeup of woven glass. The powdered sheet of textile reinforcement is fed into a lamination press, which, through high temperature and pressure, melts the polymer around the fibers to create a thin layer of prepreg. The prepreg is inspected thoroughly. It is weighed, its thickness is measured, and its ratio of flax to polymer is precisely calculated to ensure that it is suitable for consolidation into a larger substrate. A number of single prepreg layers are stacked and sandwiched between copper foil and then sandwiched again between two heavy steel plates. That sandwich is placed into a hot press at over 220 degrees Celsius, squeezing under immense pressure to consolidate the prepreg sheets into a single PCB laminate. The laminate is removed from the hot press and transferred into a cold press. Any excess material is trimmed down, which marks the final step in the production of Soluboard, which is now ready to progress to a PCB fabricator. PCB fabs turn a slab of Soluboard, much like this, into a PCB. But this PCB in of itself isn't very useful without components soldered to it. So it's time for another road trip. This time to the border of England and Wales, to a small country town called Ross-on-Wye, where I'm going to meet with some more engineers at Studio 29 to put parts on board. From the second I arrived, we were extremely serious, and work immediately started on assembling multiple of my soluble PCBs. First, a low temperature solder paste was applied using a stencil. Then, a pick and place machine placed the parts with absolute precision. The PCB bravely continued onwards into a reflow oven with a curve specifically designed for low temperature soldering. Let's talk about the differences now, right? Typical reflow ovens, they reach temperatures up to 250 degrees or higher, right? However, the water-soluble polymer that is inside this PCB melts at 220 degrees. That is the only major production difference between Soluboard and other common substrates like something that's made on FR4. You've just got to melt the solder colder, which isn't an issue in modern assembly facilities. It's around 170 degrees. But what about ultrasonic baths? They seem good, because they remove all the solder balls and the fluxy residue.
Yeah, so we use no clean flux, so there's no need to wash the boards post-manufacturing. The rosin on the flux that we use protects the joint long term. There's no oxidation, no conformal coating.
The boards underwent a quick inspection and they were ready to test. There it is. There's our assembled PCB on soluble board. Now, when I place this PCB into water just below boiling point, the solventa polymer will begin to dissolve. That is going to leave behind the jute, the solder mask, copper traces, and the useful components. Let's try it out. This process separates the polymer binder from the natural fiber reinforcement. Once released, the natural fibers will biodegrade in the natural environment in around 75 days, and even more quickly if you have it in an optimal composting environment. If you don't want to do that, you can even use them to make molded parts or even more laminate. The water that contains the dissolved solventa is non-toxic and biodegradable. Once any solid residues have been removed, the wastewater that contains the polymer and the flame retardant has been certified as non-hazardous and can be simply disposed of via any standard wastewater systems. Oh my lord. Look at that. The real objective of Soluboard is to separate waste streams. One of the most important things about this separation of the waste streams is to remove the ICs. So let's see if we can just remove this by hand. which we certainly can. Look at that, the copper traces are coming up with it. Let's have a look at that. Look at that, the IC comes right up with the copper traces, and that's what you want there. So how this would look in a factory would be, you would get a bunch of PCBs that maybe have a symbol on it that tells you that they're made from Soluboard. And these would go into a separate area and they would all be put in a 95-degree pot and stirred and stirred and stirred and stirred. When they're done, you'd have someone on the production line who could actually just physically take ICs off like that. Without dedicated desoldering gear and a lot more man hours, you couldn't do something like that. Look at this, this is a button, rip straight off the substrate. Let's try the USB port. Maybe I'll get you some ASMR. Let's hear it, ready? It's removing a whole lot of fiberglass and epoxy from our waste streams, which would just sit there forever. Next time that you design your PCB, think about your part in the product cycle. Think about your part as an engineer. I would ask you to think Soluboard. Printed circuit boards, but specifically the substrate, make recycling electronics difficult. Looking just around my room, right, I see multiple devices that are going to be recycled in the next decade. The camera that I'm talking to you on, the lights that surround me in this studio, the mobile phone in my pocket, all made obsolete in the next decade by the next best thing. We, as consumers, we're used to this pace now, right? There's no stopping it. New developments in this very industry that this very community reports on is what fuels it. And whilst it's showing no signs of slowing, us, the electronics engineers, have a moral and intellectual responsibility to ensure that what we design is recyclable. If you have a bright idea that you would like enabled on Soluboard, I would ask you to fill out the form in the description because that will get you in contact with Jiva Materials. If they like your idea enough, they are prepared to pay for your first run of PCBs so you can try out this substrate. How does that sound? If it does sound good, fill out the form in this YouTube video's description. I can't wait to see what you make. Thank you very much for sticking around to see my breakdown of Soluboard. You can find out more about Soluboard in the description, where I'll have a link to an article that I've written on the ipXchange.tech website and also Jiva Materials website. If you want to try this substrate for yourself, it is not as hard as you think. There are almost no differences and it's a drop-in replacement. Best way to do that, go ahead, apply to evaluate on ipXchange.tech, and as always, stay disruptive.